Welcome back. Today, the CDC launches a new campaign designed to shock smokers into quitting. But will they work? Before we discuss the effectiveness of the initiative, a quick warning. These ads that we're about to show you are tough to watch, and we are going to show some of them right now. So if there are kids in the room, you may want to escort them out of there just for a few minutes. Here you go. So, can smokers be scared straight? That was just a small portion of some of these ads that are out there right now. And so the question is, are shock tactics a good way to combat addiction? Here with some answers, clinical psychotherapist Cindy Crane here with us to break this down this morning. Good morning. These, you know, and again, that was just one small portion that we saw of that one ad, and there's several out there. You know, watching these, they're disturbing, but does that tactic work?
They work. The research shows that the kind of shock ads that they're putting out there do get our attention. And for many people, this is enough to get them to quit or maybe to never start.
Is there a point where it gets to be too much, though, when it's so graphic? Maybe it's the look away factor that then perhaps makes me miss the whole message that's behind it?
I felt this morning when I was looking at some of these ads that they were so repulsive that I wanted to look away. And my initial reaction is I want to turn this off, but it stuck with me. And I think that's the point, is that these images grab our attention in a way that makes us really pause and think. The psychology behind commercials is more complicated than I could explain or understand personally, but you know, we switch through ads and we don't even remember what the ad is for. This grabs our attention in a very powerful way.
Let's talk about addiction, because if you're addicted to, you know, nicotine or what have you, you're addicted to it. Is the imagery enough to say, okay, I'm going to put it down? Or for some, is it like, can you look at it and be like, well, it doesn't affect me, I know the risks, but I can't get over this feeling that I get when I light up or what have you?
Right. I think that some of the most graphic images may be ones that people say, well, that's not me. But what they may hear is that nicotine is the most addictive substance out there. It's harder to quit cigarettes than it is heroin. And if this is where this leads, then maybe that's the difference between me doing something about it today or 10 years from now.
You know, we've seen ads that have been out in years past. Now, granted, whether or not you could say they're as graphic as some of these, you know, maybe up for debate, but why do we think after all these years that people have been told that this is bad for you, you shouldn't do this, this can kill you? Why is this going to work more than anything else when you see over the years that, you know, it doesn't seem to do that for everybody?
First of all, I think that smoking is so on the rise that without having these images in our faces, it creeps up on us. It becomes insidious. And mirror neurons are powerful. These are the neurons in our brains that reflect back to us what we're seeing and say, my God, this could have been us. This can be us. These are our friends. What are we doing? We need to do something different.
What about the length of, I guess, the amount of time that these PSAs are on the air? Because I would think that out of sight, out of mind, that, okay, they're out there for a while, but maybe this PSA campaign goes away and you kind of get back into your old routine. You don't think about it. You don't see it. Is that the problem with a lot of these campaigns that we've seen in the past? And how long do we expect these to go on and stay out there?
Well, I don't know the budget for their campaign, but I know the intention is that we are reintroducing this because this is a problem in our nation, and it's a problem not just among teens, but of course that's one of the biggest populations, but also with mothers who are pregnant and smoking, and with people who have compromised immune systems. We need to be doing something different. So my hope is that the campaign continues and in various iterations. After the shock, are we going to hear more iterations of how smoking affects us?
With this, I'm looking at alcoholism now, because the issue is, despite these images and the government putting the warning on it, the government still allows this to be legal. And so for me, it begs the question, what about alcoholism? What about other issues that are legal issues? Is smoking, or is the being addicted to nicotine that much more powerful than being addicted to alcohol? Or is it not the same sort of addiction?
Different kinds of addictions. Actually more powerful in the difficulty with quitting. It changes our brain's chemistry in the way smoking does, in the way that alcohol also does.
Okay.
But the difference, I think, is that you can have access in some way to tobacco that is still publicly acceptable, and we need to change that. You're not going to walk down the street in most places with a vodka tonic. You can't walk down the street with a cigarette. You can do that now, and we need to change that thinking and see that it is something that you're making a choice to do that is unhealthy, unwise, and can have long-term effects.
What is it typically with the addictions that gets people over the hump then? Because it, whether it be alcohol, tobacco, or whatever it is, nicotine. But is it a campaign like this? Is it the scare tactic? Is it personally knowing somebody who has had a health issue with it? Or is it something more that actually gets our brain to say, I can live without this substance that I've been with for so long?
There is a tremendous amount of science behind addiction, and what is that point where somebody wants to change their habits. It is not just about the daily routine of what we're doing, but also the need to do something different. And sometimes it does take somebody in your life, somebody who's been affected, to say, this could be me.
Because it does occur to me, that's the other thing, because how many times we'll talk with a person who's 102, smoked a pack of cigarettes every day. And so it does seem that it strikes other people. My grandfather died from lung cancer, so in his 60s, but then you will see somebody else who smokes a cigarette or a pack every day. It just I'm
thinking back to Tony Gwynn, the baseball player who just passed away at a very young age, and he had used snuff for so long and smokeless tobacco, but he spent the last months of his life telling people.
So did Wayne Curry.
At this point, just don't do it, because look what happens to me. And unfortunately, he passed at a very young age.
But it does seem that it's because somebody's grandfather smoked forever and it had no repercussions. So
that could be me.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think kind of goes back to what you were saying first, Cindy, is that even if you see these ads, a lot of times, if you're that ingrained in the addiction, you're probably going to come up with some excuse to say, well, that might have happened to them, but it's not going to happen to me.
I think the impact of this campaign is this can be me. This is somebody my age. This is a teenager. This is a woman. I'm 50. She's 50. This could happen to me. If it's a grandfather, we seem to not connect as much. We need to make a personal connection.
That's true. All right, well, we'll see if that connection is made with these. And we appreciate, Cindy Crane, you coming in and talking about this. Hopefully those ads will do some good.
Thanks for having me in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Time now is 9:19 on this Monday morning. Coming up a little later on, Denied. We're going to show you what happened when the Tour de France leader leaned in for a kiss in today's video of the day. First, though, do college students need classes on dating? Perhaps even some adults need classes on dating.
Well, that's very true.
Right.
We're going to tell you why it's a growing trend coming up next. We'll be right back.